Hey, do you have a product that you want to launch, but you're afraid to launch it because you think no one's going to buy it or you think it already exists out there and other people are doing it better? Or are you a Catholic entrepreneur and you struggle with the concept of charging for something that is connected or associated or is faith based because you think faith based things should be free? That is what we are going to tackle today on the Possibility Mom Live. Today, we are going to tackle a topic I am so excited about, and I am so excited to introduce you to my guest, Kathleen Leblanc. Kathleen is my very first guest, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure this is correct, who is part of my Wealth Without Guilt group coaching experience. And I cannot wait to share with you all her story, what she and her husband Jesse are doing with their music and with their platform, and how she has overcome some interior battles to create a profitable Catholic product. So I'm so excited to bring her on in just a moment. But before we get into that, I want to share some news because I know there are people here who follow me on Instagram at Lisa Canning and have been hearing about this. Beautycounter, which you know I love and enjoy. I got into Beautycounter because, well, to be very honest with you, I was a bit of a snob. I had very quick Beautycounter story. I have a friend in Toronto who works in the beauty industry. And as she's quite the influencer, and as a result, she gets sent all of these products, like tremendous amounts of products for free. And I would go to her house and be like, "What are all these baskets of cosmetics?" And I'm talking like the highest end brands you can think of, like highest end Sephora level, department store level, like just high end products. She and I are completely opposite in our coloring. So I am darker than she is. And so basically, she wouldn't have any usage for all of these darker colors. And she'd be like, "Have them." So I got very used to using, I'm not going to name them, but just very high end brands, like $100 a foundation, like just very high end brands. And I would start buying them for my own personal use. So I was a little bit skeptical when friends of mine and when Stephanie Weinert, who I know many of you know and love, introduced me or were encouraging me to give Beautycounter a try. I was very skeptical because I had been very used to high performing products. And so I kind of put it off for a really long time. And then Stephanie was kind enough to send me some products to try. And for Christmas, I really wanted to support local girlfriends to me here in town by purchasing Beautycounter products through them. So I purchased a bunch of products, and honestly, it was more because I really wanted to support their businesses. They were hosting a Christmas pop-up, and I really wanted to support them. Then I tried them all, and I was like, "Oh my word." That I could not believe the performance level. And when then I started to get into, my just like, why is clean lovely? Why does it matter what we put on our bodies? I have no thyroid. I had thyroid cancer when I was 23 years old, and so I've been on a journey of figuring out, like, we are on a constant journey of food in my house. We are constantly trying to look for ways where a family of now 9 children and 2 parents can affordably make healthier options. So we have reduced gluten significantly. I haven't yet made the switch completely from dairy. I do have some dairy alternative products like almond milk and stuff in my, like I purchase those, but I haven't made the full switch. But I'm on a journey to, wherever possible, make my whole life my family, my products, and for the environment, of course, make healthier options, make healthier choices. And so when I realized that, oh my word, Beautycounter has the same level of high performance that I'm used to from these higher end brands, but the ingredients are all good for me. I was like, this is a no brainer. And so that was a big reason why I became a consumer and started purchasing Beautycounter. And then, of course, why I decided to become a consultant myself. Now, here's the news that I want to share with you before we bring Kathleen on. Beautycounter, unfortunately, like many other industries, has had to deal with the reality of inflation and many of the things that we have dealt with as a result of what we've been living through for the last couple of years. And so, unfortunately, prices are going up on February 1st. That's Tuesday, which means one amazing thing for you. You have the next couple of days to stock up on whatever you want, like the things that you love, the things that you use frequently. If, like, really, what I'm going to be doing the exact same thing this weekend. I want to encourage you to stock up, and I've got the link in my bio where you can shop with me. And if you have questions on how long do things last, like if you want to buy a couple things to have them on reserve, just DM me on Instagram. That's the easiest place, at Lisa Canning, and I will answer whatever questions I can about how long products last and all that jazz. Now, the other thing that's going up in price is the cost of enrollment. So if you want to become a consultant and if you have a passion for clean beauty like I do, and would like to make it a business, I want to encourage you to take a look. I'm going to put the link in my bio right now, or excuse me, in the comments right now. On Sunday, I am hosting a little Beautycounter open house. So if you are curious, what does it look like? What is the earning potential? What can you realistically get suit to make with a Beautycounter business? What does the discount look like? All those kinds of things. If you are curious, I want to encourage you to go to the link that I just posted in the comments and sign up. You just go back right down here to this purple button. Sunday, January 30th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be hosting a very casual open house where you can learn what is involved, what is the cost. And again, I'm doing this before the end of the month because the price to become a consultant is going to go up. I don't have the information for how much, but it's definitely going to be going up February 1st. So this is the time, if you've been on the fence, if you've been thinking about it, and I mean, you get to come on a team with me. You get to get some training on sales, on how to get over any thoughts you might have around what it means to sell something like Beautycounter online. I work with you on all this stuff when you join my team. All right, so that link is in the comments wherever you are watching this. And I was just telling Kathleen before we went live, this little baby has all kinds of gas. So he just grunts up a storm. So if you are hearing the grunting, if you're listening to this in your ear pods and you're hearing the grunting, that is courtesy of infant baby Andrew, who is now a month old, which is really, really, really fun. All righty. Well, listen, without further delay, I want to bring on our very special guest, and I just want to quickly introduce her. Kathleen Leblanc is someone I have known for a very long time. I don't know if you know this, Kathleen, but I was aware of her long before I ever met her, because I knew of her family. The Dunn family is kind of Catholic famous in the Southern Ontario Catholic world, if you will. They, as a family, like the whole family, the sisters, the mom, dad, like just they are known for their music and for their media. And I had first learned about this family, I want to say at a March for Life or something like that, some kind of big Catholic event where I was like, wait a minute, this is like the Catholic Von Traps. Like, and how do I join this family? Because this looks like too much fun. And then we became socially friends just sort of through different things. And we just stayed connected for many years. And then I was so excited when she and her husband Jesse launched their music ministry, Found Together. And I'm going to let her explain what that means, but I just, watching from afar, saw so much potential. and was so excited when she finally said yes to join me in some of my coaching programs. It had been a while. It had been a season of courting, let's call it, where I saw so much potential in Kathleen, and the timing just wasn't right, and all these things. But eventually it was. And eventually we teamed up. She joined me inside of Wealth Without Guilt, and it has been so fun to see her progress. So, welcome to the Possibility Mom, Kathleen Leblanc. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Lisa, for having me and for that lovely introduction.
I am so excited. Do you know that I followed you for a long time? I don't know if you know that.
You mentioned it, yeah, which is really sweet. That's super awesome.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Okay, so I just right off the bat share with me, what is Found Together and where did this name come from? And while you're talking, I'm going to share some slides because they're just so cute. Go ahead.
Well, so my husband and I are both musicians, and our band used to be called A Guy and a Girl. And it was a very just like average name. But it was actually through your Future Full of Hope course that you offered that we realized we really needed to take our music ministry more seriously. And part of that was just saying, we wanted to rename ourselves to something that reflected who we are and what we're passionate about as musicians. And so we just, after prayer and discussing, we were like, you know what? Community and relationship is so important to us. Like, both of us love youth ministry and relational ministry, and the importance of really just letting people know who you are. And so Found Together came from that idea that we're all made for relationship, whether it's with our spouse or with our friends or family, but most of all with God. And that when we allow ourselves to truly be found by these people and by God, let them like see us for who we are, like all of our pieces, all of our mess, that's where we are found and we are home. And so that's through our music and through our different ministries that we offer. We intentionally try to cultivate those experiences where you are able to enter deeper into relationship with your spouse, in this case with our marriage ministry, and then also most importantly with our Lord.
Okay, so I got to pause you right there because, again, if you're watching this on YouTube, and I want to encourage you, if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, you've got to go to their website, wearefoundtogether.com, because you got to be able to see the video that I currently have on the screen. I was telling this to my husband, Josh. I was like, the way that Jesse and Kathleen look at each other, I'm like, I don't look at you like this. Like, what? I don't know what it is. Like, and I love you. Like, we've been married like almost 15 years. Like, but the way that Kathleen and Jesse look at each other, there is just something so tender and so joyful and so innocent. So I really want to encourage everybody to go to wearefoundtogether.com, and to obviously listen to their music. But then you guys decided to launch something different, to launch something called the Catholic Date Night. So tell us a little bit about how that came to be.
Well, in kind of talking about where our gifts are best used, through like restarting Found Together, we realized that we do have a passion for marriages, and like we're obviously in that vocation and in the right place and time to be serving other married people if we can. And so we kind of dipped our toes into marriage ministry. We offered a couple of marriage retreats online, and we realized, so we asked our couples that came to the marriage retreat, we gave them some surveys to fill out, that Lisa taught us how to execute a really good survey to find out what your people need. And it came out that most couples in their vocation and their desire to grow in holiness together, their biggest struggle was both in finding time to be together, what to do with that time, and then also just they wanted to meet other like-minded Catholic couples who are passionate about their faith and their marriage and want to grow. And so we were like,
I want to pause you and read you some of the questions you ask people on your website. So, do you struggle to find true quality time with your spouse? Do you find it hard to be consistent about praying together and growing in faith together? Do you want to set up your marriage with better quality habits to keep you on the same page? Do you wish you had a community of Catholic couples to truly journey with? Like, those are really compelling questions that you came up with that I love that you highlighted here on your site.
Yeah, so we knew that was the need for our people, but we also knew that, Jesse and I just love to have fun. We're not an overly serious couple. We love to just have a good time. And so we didn't want it to be like a like a, I don't know, a conference kind of vibe. We were like, this needs to be fun for couples. We want to have fun. So we're like, let's make it a monthly date night where there's, there's fun aspects to it. We did like a skit for our last one because we're a little weird like that. And then, but also having some meaningful content along the way too. So yeah, we had our first one a couple of weeks ago, and we've had 34 couples sign up who are really enjoying it so far, and we are too. So we're looking forward to more.
I love it so much. So I remember when you were talking about this, and there was a lot of things that impacted, I think, your decision to do this. Like I think you had plans to do more live music, but then obviously the pandemic,
Mhm.
sort of squashed a lot of those ideas. So I love how much you embraced pivoting. Like so many entrepreneurs have had to pivot. I love that you embraced pivoting. But what were some of your limiting beliefs or doubts that you had before launching the Catholic Date Night?
Well, one of them was that we just felt awkward asking money for people to join us. Like, but we knew that if we wanted to offer something and give this much time to it, we kind of needed to be paid for it because, we have bills to pay like everybody else. My husband works, but, you know, um, we wanted to make money through it as well, just like anybody does, not for any greedy needs, but like, yeah, we would love one day to be doing this full time. But we were like, oh, like it's ministry. It feels so weird to ask for money. And then, yeah, it was also like, we've only been married 6 years. How do we offer some like a marriage ministry? So those were like some of the kind of like awkward beliefs that we had about finally doing it.
It's an interesting one. The first comment that you made, that because it's a ministry,
Mhm.
I don't want to charge for it. And this is something that I have encountered so many times, both in myself and things that I've been a part of, but of course in the many women I've coached. And so, what did you do to sort of shift and get more confident in this realm that ministry doesn't mean I can't charge money for it? Because I think this is something very relatable for a lot of people.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I've always been very passionate about youth ministers getting paid. Like I was a youth minister myself, and I saw it time and time and again where youth ministers were not getting paid. They would burn out, and then they would just almost like leave ministry entirely because they were so jaded by it. But it's like somebody has to pay for the ministry, like whatever we're a part of, whether it's like a free retreat at our parish or like Alpha, whatever. Somebody's paying for it. Maybe it's not us personally, but somebody is. Like things do cost money. Um, and then it was just like, you're coaching Lisa through Wealth Without Guilt to realize that what we have is valuable to people. They do want it. Just because it's Catholic doesn't mean you can't pay for it, because people are buying like date boxes, like there's a lot of different date subscriptions that you get in the mail, and people are buying those. So why wouldn't they want to buy something like that has a Catholic spin on it? Like to me, that's like a no-brainer. I would want to, but it just felt awkward. So it was getting over that hump of thinking people aren't going to want to pay for this and realizing no, they actually really want it, and not assuming that people aren't going to.
Yeah. I think
Mhm.
this is just so important. Like, I'm so glad you clarified that, because I think there's two things that happen to a lot of entrepreneurs, especially Catholic ones. The first thing is that there might be your own bias or your own habits around money. So if you personally wouldn't pay for it, if you personally um just have never invested in something like that before, you might have a bias that no one would buy this, right? But that just is not accurate. And we have to then, when I hear stuff like that, when I hear people say to me, why would anyone pay money for this? I'm like, we have to increase your belief that you have something really, really valuable. And then, of course, what you shared about just because it's Catholic doesn't mean someone shouldn't pay. What I think is so interesting about that is that I think the Catholicity aspect is actually what makes you more appealing. That's the part that I think is so interesting, that I wish all entrepreneurs knew. The more you can, with intense, like, and I mean intense specificity, like even if you were to be like, not that I think you should do this, but even if you were to be like Catholic couples between the ages of 25 and 30, like, not that I think you should limit it, but the more specific and the more someone can self-identify, this is for me, the more successful I think someone will be. Okay, so let's get to some of these success stories because like I'm so excited. So tell me about what's going on in the date night. How did you guys come up with like what to do on the evenings and how is it going? Like how are you enjoying running it?
Well, we looked at those surveys that we put out, asking them what their struggles were, and yeah, like what major conflicts they not major conflicts having in their marriage, but just things that they longed for. And we were like, well, let's shape the date night around what they need. We're happy to kind of just like shift things. So what happens in the date night is, like I said, we do a little bit of entertainment at the beginning. Um, just to have some fun. And then we interview a guest couple or a guest like speaker, like a priest or somebody like that, and just talk to them about different aspects of marriage and really dive into certain parts of their journey. And then we give the opportunity for couples to just go off on their own, like turn off their camera on Zoom and just go through some discussion questions we provide with their spouse, which is something that couples were looking for, is like, how do we have meaningful conversation? Because not everybody, like that's not natural for everybody.
Mhm.
And then we split them off into little groups of 3 or 4 couples to get to know each other, to share their marriage journey, to keep each other accountable to the commitments they make through the discussions. And then we teach couples how to pray together, because that was another thing that came up a lot in the surveys, was that couples just don't know how to pray together for a lot of reasons, but just not really knowing what to do. So part of it is we teach a little bit about how to pray together and then guide couples through that. And so, like I said, we've just had one so far. We have one every month, and we just had our first one. And yeah, I think people enjoyed it. We have a little Facebook exclusive kind of Facebook group for everybody, and they've been giving us their feedback and really enjoying the conversation and what's coming out of it, and their connection with their spouse. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to see it continue to unfold. But so far, so good.
Okay, so before we get into the details of your launch and how many people actually came in and all that stuff and the money, I'd love to just ask you and just be as honest with us as you are comfortable being honest. Like, were you afraid that no one was going to buy?
Yeah, I was afraid people weren't going to buy. Like for 2 things. I was worried people weren't going to buy. And then I was also worried that people were going to like judge us for charging money. Like those 2 things. I was like, ooh, this is hard to just take that step for sure.
And here's the thing and why I'm asking you is because when people hear your results, I think they're just going to be so excited, and I know it can be like sensitive to talk about money and all that, but I just really, this is, I think, the fear that most entrepreneurs have. There's this fear. I'm going to launch and nobody's going to buy. And then what are people going to think of me? Like, I think these are natural thoughts that entrepreneurs have that keep them stuck. But the way that we kind of shed that habit, shed those thoughts, are to, of course, show our brain evidence. What if that's actually not true? Like, what if that's actually not true? Okay, so Kathleen, tell us with whatever specificity you're comfortable sharing. How many people, I guess, you know what, back it up. How did you launch it? And then how many people came in?
So we launched it at our most recent marriage retreat. And we launched it, if you sign up within 24 hours, we're going to include like a training on how to pray with your spouse. And so I think 5 signed up from that 24-hour little window. And that was back in November. And then we launched in January. So we let people sign up between then and January. And a total of 34 couples signed up, so they could sign up for either a 3-month subscription or a 6-month subscription to come to the monthly date nights. And we have a number of like other bonuses to go with it. So we were so thrilled that 34 couples wanted to join us. And I'm only sharing this because I want to encourage other entrepreneurs too, that so far we've made $4,000 from this launch, which is very humbling that people want to be a part of this community and want to see this ministry grow. And like I was saying before, it's not about like we're trying to be rich or something. It's like we want to be able, if we get paid to do this, we can do more, because one day hopefully Jesse can quit his job and then we can do more ministry. So that's really why we're charging money
I'm
for it. So
punching in on our faces so that we can just get this, because what I think you're sharing is so beautiful. But I also want to draw some things out of it. So what does $4,000 a month mean to you, Kathleen?
well, honestly, it really means that we're that much closer to Jesse being home and doing this ministry full time, which is what we really feel called to do. And so it's allowing us to do more ministry in that way. So we're so blessed and excited to see where this is just the beginning, really, like you've
And
said many times, Lisa.
how different is that? Like, this is going to allow us to do more. How different is that from, well, what are people going to think? Or, oh, like this sort of nervous kind of tension. Like, what if you had stayed in that nervous tension of what are people going to think?
Yeah, I mean, I had to really like, and again through the Wealth Without Guilt program, um, really understand that it doesn't like matter what they think, because I'm much more clear on why we're doing what we're doing. And if somebody doesn't understand that why, like that's okay. Like they're maybe not coming on our boat, but the people who do understand the why and they see it's valuable and they're coming on this journey with us, and that's what's important to me. And it's okay if someone doesn't understand my why, which is a very hard thing, and like you deal with it in waves, I'm sure.
Mhm.
But to not care what the naysayers say, if I'm clear on my why for why I'm doing this, then it doesn't matter if they don't understand, you know.
I think it's only natural. Like, it'd be just, I think it's only natural. We all want to be liked, or we all want to be um, understood, maybe something like that. It's only natural that we want to avoid feelings of discomfort.
Mhm.
But what you have realized, I think, is one of the things that all entrepreneurs need to like really realize is that there are going to be people out there who don't like you, or who don't want to buy your thing, or who just will never get on your ship, or it might take them, 2 or 3 years to get on your ship. But that's okay. And this is where I think, you and I have told this story publicly. I invited you to join me inside of my coaching experiences for how long? Like, how do you remember how long?
No, I don't remember how long, but it was probably, you invited me at least 4 times. I think it was the fourth. And I wanted to say is that you were talking about how when you're more specific, people are ready, much more ready to jump. When you announced that you're doing a Catholic specific motherhood without guilt program, I was
Mhm.
like, this is the one. This is the one. I'm doing it. So there's your proof.
And you know what's interesting about this is, this is just so interesting because, again, I want to prove to people, the thing that I'm trying to prove here is that it's not about the cost. It can be, certainly, but the cost of my Catholic experience was actually more than all the other times I invited you.
Huh.
So it really comes down to, have you, as the provider, presented a solution to a problem your customer can self identify with? So my mom can self identify with, I have too much guilt in motherhood, or my business coaching people can identify with, I have guilt around money, or I really want to move my business further and I don't know how. Your people, Kathleen, want to have greater connection in their marriage, want to pray together more in their marriage, or they don't currently have a date night and that's a deficit, that's a poverty, but they can self identify that. And when they can see, oh, wow, like Kathleen provides something that is Catholic, Kathleen and Jesse are going to give me a good time because that's what I know about them. It's going to be a good, entertaining time. Again, you've presented a solution to a problem they already have. And that is like the goal of entrepreneurship. It's simply like, we are in the business of solving problems. And there are a myriad of people out there. So maybe you could touch on this a little bit. Like, do you now, so I'm curious how your confidence has grown as an entrepreneur. Do you worry that other people are going to do something similar? Do you have any doubts about getting more people into your Catholic date night subscription? Like, how has your confidence changed?
Hmm. Well, the fact that 34 couples were ready and willing to pay us and to be a part of this was a big confidence booster that I would not have had that booster if I hadn't just taken the leap of faith and gone for it. And it has confirmed the fact that we do offer something unique. What we have is valuable, and that if somebody offers something similar, that they're going to do it differently. And
Mhm.
that's something that I'm growing and realizing, is that we are unique in what we offer, and that's a really good thing that we're doing it differently. And like I was saying, how we were like, well, we did like this kind of silly comedy skit to begin with, and we were like, but we loved it. We thought it was so fun. And if somebody doesn't, that's okay. Like if that's not their style, that's okay. And really leaning into, like, also like you're saying, being specific, it's like we're leaning into the gifts God has given us to have fun, to be silly, to entertain, and that's going to help us grow in our ministry, because we'll have people who are so like excited about it and on fire for it that they'll want to invite other people too. um
You know, I had a lot of drama in my brain when I quote unquote came out as a Catholic coach. And it's just, again, the reason I'm bringing it up is to, again, further hit this point home, that the more specific we can be about the problem that we solve. And again, I think it's so interesting that it was the Catholic version for you that sealed the deal, even though it was more money, even though whatever, I had invited you times before. The more specific we can be and really know our audience, I just think is so valuable. And I just love that that has proven to be true for you. And again, it's like, be quirky, be funny, be the thing that nobody else is, because only you can be it. And I just love, love, love. Okay. So if someone is sitting at home listening to this, watching us talk, and is like, I really want to create, a Catholic program, or I really want to create something that involves my faith. I never thought I could do that for whatever reason. What encouragement would you give them, Kathleen?
that people are just like, people are chomping at the bit for Catholic stuff. I am chomping at the bit. Everyone I know is like, when something has a Catholic spin on it, or Catholic jewelry, or Catholic whatever, it's like everyone wants to be a part of it and have it. And the fact that the internet is where we sell things these days just makes your audience so much wider, that your response is just going to be huge. I would say, just, people want that. People are looking for that, because that's our identity. Like we're saying, being Catholic is our identity. And when something has that attached to it, whether it's a bracelet or it's a program or it's like even like a catering business, people are stoked to support it because they identify with you. So I would say go for it. People
Okay,
want it.
this is a random question I'm going to ask you, and I honestly didn't plan it, but I'm going to ask you the question. Do you think anything can be Catholic? So, like, could somebody who is a Catholic themselves but has an interest in like something totally random that you would maybe never associate with Catholic faith? So, like, the first example that came to me was like ultimate frisbee. That's such a random example. But do you think that anything can be made a Catholic experience, Kathleen?
I do, because being Catholic isn't just about going to church. Like, it's a whole human experience to be Catholic. So everything we do is infused by our faith and by Christ. And so absolutely, if you have a Catholic frisbee team, you're going to be valuing something different than just a regular Catholic frisbee or regular frisbee team. I was even thinking, I'm trying to plan an event for our parish, and I was like, I want to find like Catholic businesses, caterers, rental decor places that like are Catholic, because they're gonna get what we're trying to do. So absolutely.
Oh my
It
gosh.
seems random, but absolutely.
Ultimate frisbee. If there's some ultimate frisbee fans out there, I don't know. I've never really played it. I don't know anything about it, but that was just the most random thing that came to mind. So let's talk about coaching. And I'd love to just ask you, what was a thought that was very prevalent in your mind about your business or about being an entrepreneur, your identity as an entrepreneur, that you had before engaging in coaching? And how has that since totally like transformed?
Well, I guess it's kind of two things that I was sharing before, that both we can't charge money for what we're doing, and that's kind of tied with our what we're offering isn't valuable enough really for people to spend money on. And like saying it out loud, it's like, why wouldn't you think what you're offering is valuable? But you have that kind of subconscious thought, like, oh, is it really that great that people would want to be a part of it? Even if it was free, it's like, is this okay? Are we doing something that people want? And so I think even before having the response that we did with people joining us for the Catholic date night, I mean, I needed to be convinced of that before I could even launch it. Well, maybe not true. But I think to a degree, I needed to really believe that so that I could make the offer and
Yeah.
it should be a compelling offer,
Yeah.
that it's worth paying for and, sacrificing whatever for, and that people are going to enjoy it. And they have been. So yeah, and it's something that I think is ongoing, that belief, but it is certainly wildly transformed from before offering this date night opportunity.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And again, that goes back to something I learned from one of my coaches, Stacey Bayman. She calls it the oh, forgive me. I think she calls it the sales triad or something like that. I think it's the triad anyway, but it's belief in yourself. And so we've talked about that a little bit. Like it's your identity, that you are valuable, that you have something that's going to change people's lives, belief in your audience. And we've touched on that a little bit in this interview too. Like there are people who actually want to pay money for this. There are people who have this problem and want to solve it. But then what you're touching on right now is belief in your offer, that the vehicle, the way that you're going to help people transform is valuable, and that it is unique, and that it's one of a kind, and only you and Jesse can deliver it the way that you're delivering it. Like those three things are so essential. In selling in general. But I just love that we've kind of touched on all of these things here in our interview. Okay, my final question for you, although I could talk to you literally all day long, is what is it like to run a business with your husband? And what do you guys do when maybe you have conflict, or one of you has not so much belief in themselves or anything like that? How do you guys navigate the inevitable ups and downs that come with being married and creating something together?
Hmm. Well, first of all, I feel very blessed that my husband is who he is. He's just really wonderful to work with. He's so fun and easygoing, but also just very passionate about what we're doing. And so I don't find it hard to work with him. And we do have very unique, like different gifts to offer, which can be really helpful because he can do certain things that I can't, and vice versa. But also can be hard because it's like, okay, I'm the only one who can do this part. But I think what I am realizing is that this ministry is yes, it's for other people and for their growth and holiness, but it's also for our marriage and for our growth and holiness. And that the struggles that come our way in offering this ministry is for our benefit. And so, maybe there's some conflicts we have of like the way we're going to do things, or even like, I didn't really want to do a skit. I didn't really want to wear a costume, but I was like, you know what? Jesse's so excited about doing this. What's more important here is to honor him. And it was fine. Like I can wear a silly hat. I can make silly jokes. Like I am fun. And you know what? Like that brought him joy. It brought our marriage like closer in a way because we did something fun and new together. And yeah, that's just one kind of silly example, but ultimately found together is God's way of growing us in holiness too. And when I look at it that way, it helps me just really unite what we're doing to the Lord even more. So I'm grateful. I'm very grateful.
I love it. Naden here says in the comments, I love the concept of your ministry, Kathleen. And Amanda says, congratulations, Kathleen. I'm so excited to hear an update from you after seeing some glimpses along the way. I want to respond to what you just said because it's really important. You said the process, like I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but the people we're becoming, like it's the journey of being in business is becoming holy. It's part of our path to sanctity, part of our unique call. And that's the thing that I get so passionate about, is well, for all entrepreneurs, but obviously especially for Catholic entrepreneurs who I serve in Wealth Without Guilt. The struggles, the belief in things unseen, the belief in ourselves, belief in people, belief in our offer, belief that we have been entrusted with something very unique is what gets me so fired up, because the people we begin or become rather in the process of pursuing business is not to be like undervalued. It is such a huge thing. So perhaps you could just share some final words on the kind of person or what you have observed about yourself as a result of going through Wealth Without Guilt and launching your Catholic date night.
What I observed about myself. I think that, yeah, through Wealth Without Guilt, through your coaching, Lisa, and it's always been very prayerful and Christ centered, is that you've been teaching us how to open our hands to what God has ready for us. And he's so ready to give it. He's not like asking us to jump through hoops to get it, but it's just us that are like, all those beliefs that we have are like having us close our hands to what he's like, I'm ready to give it to you. And so, yeah, I've seen that I have gone in a lot of ways from having my hands closed to like, I'm afraid of this, or I'm not sure what it's going to be, like just having those fears about what it's going to look like and not having control, to saying, Lord, show me what you have for me. Clearly there's something here you've been stirring in my heart. Show me the way. And he has shown like abundantly that this is all along. I just needed to open my hands to what he's been doing. So I'm so grateful for the coaching and the courses and the community around it that are encouraging that openness to God's plan in our business. It's been such a gift.
I am so grateful for you. I think that is a beautiful place to end. May we all, in every area of our lives, just open our hands and surrender to what the Lord is asking us. And I just think business is I think women, Catholic women, most Catholic women can do this in other areas of their lives. They might find it difficult, like in our marriage and our motherhood and our home. They might find it difficult, but I feel like we talk about it more. Like put Christ in the center of your marriage. But I don't often hear people saying, put Christ in the center of your business, or trust him with where your business is going. Don't be self-reliant. And so thank you so much for just beautifully articulating that. I'm so grateful that you're in Wealth Without Guilt. I'm grateful that I, courted you, so to speak, for so many years. I'm grateful that all the things lined up. You've told some great stories about how money became available when you didn't think it was, and surprises, the way that the Lord surprised you in your bank account in various ways to help make this all happen. So I'm grateful that you are here in my life, that you're in Wealth Without Guilt, and that you are here for the 34 and more couples inside the Catholic Date Night. Where can people go to get on the wait list for the Catholic Date Night and to learn more about your music and your ministry and you and your husband, Jesse?
Sure. Well, you can go to our website, wearefoundtogether.com/date nights. And then we have 2 Instagrams. One is We Are Found Together, our main Instagram. And then we also have the Catholic Date Night handle for just a lot more kind of intricate topics about marriage and what we're offering through the Catholic Date Night. So follow that, and you can sign up for the wait list and all that. We'd love to have you.
I love it. Kathleen Leblanc, thank you so, so much. And I can't wait to just see what the Lord has in store for you.
Lisa, it's been so wonderful.
Oh, you're so great. Oh, my word. How exciting is that? I love hearing stories. I think stories are really fun for me because number one, I love cheering people on. It's just super fun to hear how people have progressed. And it's also helpful to hear people in different situations who might be at different stages. It's just so fun to hear that it's not like success is available only for one kind of person. I think that's why stories inspire me so much, that there can be a myriad of ways, as we know. God, my friend Megan Baker, who's also a client, she used this phrase. She was like, God loves diversity. And I had never really thought about it in the sense of, what we're talking about today, business and how we can all do things so differently. But it's just the truth that God has gifted all of us with a unique set of skills, with unique fights, with things that if we can, like Kathleen just said, open our hands and trust and let Him direct the path, incredible things can happen. Why I think this is so hard, I think I'll just end here. Why I think this is so difficult for people is because, as we read in Hebrews, it is a belief in something unseen. When we want to control, like when we have this sort of this, like a hands firmly clasped, or we want to know all the steps, exactly what's going to happen, it's because we want to control the outcome. Obviously, I've heard it said that control also is a way to avoid disappointment. So again, no human being really wants to voluntarily be hurt. Again, it's just human behavior. We protect ourselves, of course, some more than others. You've heard me here talk on this podcast how much I cannot stand failure and how it's so difficult. We protect to avoid disappointment, but the releasing requires, like we read in Hebrews, a belief in something unseen. That even if we can't see exactly how it's going to happen, even if there is just an unknown terrain that we're going to go through, to trust anyway and move forward. And that is what I've seen in Kathleen and her husband Jesse. That is what I am seeing in the women inside of Wealth Without Guilt. And if you would like a friend on the journey, if you would like someone to walk alongside you as a guide and a mentor, but also be surrounded by a bunch of incredible Catholic and Christian women who are cheering you on and striving for the same, I want to invite you to join me inside of Wealth Without Guilt. And of course, all of the links for all the things that we talked about, Kathleen and Jesse's platform, how you can shop Beautycounter and join my Beautycounter open house, and of course, how you can join me inside Wealth Without Guilt are in the show notes. I just love this. I hope this is the first of many stories. And I really want to ask you a question. I want to hear from you. What is a business dream that you have in your heart? And what is that thing unseen? What is it that you think the Lord is calling you into? And perhaps you just need to let go of your hands a little bit and trust Him with that thing unseen. Thank you so much. Again, if this podcast benefited you, can I invite you to share it with a friend, to leave a rating where you listen to podcasts? It helps get the podcast into the earbuds of more people. And let us all continue to walk in faith, trusting that God has us in the palm of His hand. All right, friends. Thank you so much. And we will see you again soon.